DLC has been prevalent in gaming for decades now, and Fire Emblem is also no stranger to this. DLC has been used in Fire Emblem since Fire Emblem New Mystery of the Emblem, but we never got this game in West, so you probably don't care. But ever since then, Fire Emblem has had DLC in every mainline installment. And with Fire Emblem fortunesweave releasing in less than a month from now, we have a rough idea of the content that the game will feature. We also have ideas based on the DLC that has been featured in previous Fire Emblem games. However, that doesn't narrow it down enough because there's so many ways you can make DLC. You can make the scummy kind, make the drain the consumer's wallet. There's also DLC that expands upon what made the base game so good while delivering a new, unique experience. You can even scratch the fans' nostalgia itch by bringing back characters that they like, allowing them to cross over and interact with the characters from the newest title. And honestly, intelligent systems are capable of doing all three of these things. And yes, that is Summer Scramble slander that you're hearing. It's okay, I guess. Looking at the Nintendo Switch era of Fire Emblem, there's two examples that we have to go by here, which we have the Fire Emblem Three Houses expansion pass and we have the Fire Emblem Engage expansion pass, which I assume everyone who is watching is a Fire Emblem fan, so there's no need for me to go too deep into detail, but Three Houses essentially offered the Cindered Shadow storyline, which essentially gave extra lore and characters, which we actually learned the story of the Ashen Wolves. They're kind of the secret fourth house in that game. We also have Fire Emblem Engage's expansion pass, which was mainly more nostalgia. I hear that the extra emblems that they added to the game were actually pretty fun to use, but I didn't want to spend $30 on that DLC personally, but let me know if you liked it. So Fire Emblem Engage's DLC gets a pass for nostalgia farming because, you know, it's an anniversary game, so let's give it a slide. But that wouldn't necessarily slide in the case of Fire Emblem fortunesweave's DLC. Like, I wouldn't be too surprised if they did do some time travel shenanigans and brought back some Three Houses characters. Like, they did do that with the Fire Emblem Awakening characters appearing in Fire Emblem Fates' DLC, but I do hope that the DLC is more than simply putting Three Houses characters in Fire Emblem fortunesweave, because that'd be pretty boring. Like, we just had Fire Emblem Engage and they put Three Houses characters in there, so why would you do the same thing again? Plus, Fotland's story is over, for the most part. Me personally, I'd rather the DLC expand more upon the Doctan continent instead of just reheating nachos. Like, we've had enough of that. I do like my reheated nachos every now and then though, so if the price is worth the content that they include, then maybe I'll purchase it. I do think one of the things they will do with the DLC is make sure they add more features to Daxian. The reason I say that is because outside of the new story content in the DLC, they did add new features for Garrett Mach. So they might add features like cats and dogs or even mini games like the sauna. However, this shouldn't be an excuse to leave the hub world barren, because one of the issues in Fire Emblem Three Houses was, on New Game Plus runs, you're kinda just doing stuff. Which I feel like Intelligent Systems took note of this because we have a whole world map that we can make use of. They even brought back the dungeon crawling that we had in Shadows of Valentia. By the way, if you would like to see more Fire Emblem content and any other RPG content that I cook up for the time, then be sure to like the video and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you will never miss a video ever again. Now, in terms of adding a fifth route, I feel like that would be kind of hard to do. Fire Emblem fortunesweave is using a gladiator setting, so I assume that the brackets are pre-made, unless Ishmael decides to go back in time and save a random unnamed character that couldn't make it to the tournament on time, which sounds pretty stupid, unless there is a DLC focusing on the resistance after the fall of Daxian. This would most likely ensure that Honghua and Troy are the main protagonists of this DLC, which it could be interesting. The only issue with this idea is that it would require us to make it to the time skip of the game's story, which most DLCs are made in mind to sell copies. Like, imagine showing off a cool DLC in the trailer and then saying, oh yeah, you have to be 25 hours in the game's story to access this DLC, by the way. Like, that doesn't really work in comparison to Cindered Shadows because you could really boot up Fire Emblem Three Houses and then make use of the content immediately almost. I feel like the DLC that would be the easiest to implement would be adding side story maps, similar to what they did in the 3DS era of Fire Emblem. And by doing this, we could even explore locations that aren't Fotland or Docta. Plus, who wouldn't want a beach episode with Lita and Theodora? I'm kidding. Also, I'm noted I'm contradicting myself as I did say Fotland's story is over, but this may also give us the opportunity to return to Fotland, because Sethith is in the game in disguise. It's kinda goofy. Which makes me wonder who else from Fotland is going to appear in this game. Time travel seems to be the driving force for this game's plot, so we might also be able to see Rhea or Flame as well. It would be pretty hilarious if the DLC is just Eshmel going back in time and recruiting Three Houses characters, Nick Fury style, but I just hope the DLC is fun. Which you might also be thinking the DLC isn't confirmed yet, which it's not confirmed yet, but on the official store page of Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave, they did confirm that in-app purchases will be in the game, so that basically just confirms that there will be DLC. They just probably haven't confirmed it yet due to the hatred people have for DLC announcements before the game is out, but we're for sure getting DLC. But one thing to take into account even with DLC happening is this game already looks massive without DLC. Like, we can literally explore smaller villages on the outskirts of the continent. This game is literally shaping up to have the most content that we've had in any Fire Emblem game to date. This could mean that the DLC isn't as extensive as previous DLCs, but who knows. I'm just excited for Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave to release, and I hope you are too. I do know that some of you guys are tired of the Three Houses milking and just want a fresh new world to build upon, but I expect this game to be original enough that you won't even remember that. Or maybe you will. But that's not the point, because Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave is releasing next month in September. And I really hope you guys are excited, because I definitely am. By the way, be sure to leave in the comments below, what do you think will be the DLC for Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave? Do you think that it will be like the DLC of the 3DS era, or do you think it'll be something more like Fire Emblem Three Houses? Your thoughts matter the most to me. Also, if you would like to discuss more extensively about Fire Emblem or RPGs in general, be sure to join the Discord. We have other Fire Emblem fans in there, and they'd be down to chat with you as well. We're trying to get that place more active. And once again, if you would like to see more Fire Emblem content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, as you'll never miss a video of mine ever again. I would like to thank you all who made it this far in the video. If you did, send Lead Us the Goat in the comments so I know who you are. And yeah, be sure to have fun and take care.